Dude, you hit... Welcome, everybody. Everybody's here. No introductions needed.
Hey!
Hi.
Oh, fuck, lower thirds.
Oh, hi! Ah!
Oh, they all went away.
Live.
They all went away when we reloaded. Guess what? Start over.
Just kidding. What the fuck is going on?
Dude, Google's got some specialness going on tonight.
Yeah,
Oh,
it totally removed all my lower thirds too. So
Oh, did it?
Yeah, fuck it. No lower third for me.
The most professional show in vaping. I'm Mass Blast 09. We have understudy with no lower third 77 over there. We got Fubaca and El Anxfolio Vepario.
What's up?
What the hell is going on with fucking Hangouts today, guys?
Yeah, so
Guys,
just so everybody knows the reason, we were actually planning on starting on time tonight.
I know, it's a starting on time curse.
Yeah.
but Google started screwing up. We couldn't hide anybody from the damn broadcast. Masty was...
We had to make our guests
I
leave.
was not in the room.
Yeah, we had to make our guests leave. Oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
Who are those people? Rrr.
What?
Ruby in chat. Hey, you think
Well,
I can play
also-
the GIF? You think I can play the GIF that I sent you guys?
Let's...
I can play it. I know how I can play it. Hang on, let me go.
No!
Dude, I'm watching the
I can
bottom
just
and it's
leave.
not showing everybody either.
Do the Eric Sterling, y'all.
I can just leave this side.
Brad
Oh,
Birdie.
wait. Ask people in chat if they can see everybody.
I think it might actually be hiding people.
Oh,
It is. It is. I
Because
just saw
I'm
it.
watching the feed. It's only me and Mass.
Well, bring me the damn... Can they hear me?
They can hear you, but you and Fu are invisible.
Tonight's Blue a hazard. Because it's just me and Sean. I'm Mass Blast 09. I ate Angstful Vapor and Sean. Whatever his name is. Wow.
So you guys might have to refresh because I can't hit show.
BRB.
Wait, what, Sean?
Refresh.
I can
You
still
have
mute you.
You did mute him. What is going on?
I'm turning off the hide their audio and video from the broadcaster's guest. This one's
This is like frozen out.
gonna be a bit of a mess, I think, guys.
Wow.
Am I seen now?
I can always... We cannot see Fu and Angsty.
Just ask chat.
I'm watching the feed now to make sure.
No, I am too. I've got it.
This is
Horse shit. Some serious Google horse shit.
Oh my god. McGee.
Okay, Fu's there, but no Angsty.
No Angsty? Oh, that's unacceptable.
You're gonna have to try again because I just turned off the as guest join hide audio and video.
Uh-huh.
So refresh again and then it should show.
Yeah, motherfuckers, I am in.
Are you back? Hey, can you mute Sean for a second? It's not working.
Got him!
I don't think the mute worked. Hopefully that will
Yeah, it does.
now have everybody.
You gotta warn me!
There you go.
Got him!
Hopefully Angsty will be up here. He should hopefully be here now.
One would hope. One would hope. Can have it.
Wow.
That would be kind of weird to have
So-
just, like half the guests just or half the host just in the background, just audio only. Hey,
There we go. You're in. You're good.
You
I
can
see
talk.
you. Somebody said,
So-
"Is this y'all's first show?" You know what this is? This is Google changing shit again.
It's not even changing shit. This is just bugged out.
The
Yep.
worst part about it is that we were actually starting on time,
Yeah.
and it broke. We were all here like at 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock rolled around. I was ready to go.
Yep.
We had you in here for like a full half hour before the show. It was fantastic. I love it.
I know.
That's just wow. Okay.
So there's a good 5 minutes of faffing about, as the Brits would say.
So we start over, right? There it is. Mass Blast 09, Understudy 77, Fubaka, some dude.
Some dude. Ah, shit! I don't have fucking lower thirds on. Neither do you. So
That's what I said, some dude.
You don't have yours up either, so you shush.
Well, I was just playing the intro. Mine auto disappears when the intro plays. What the fuck are we doing? It's 9:10 almost.
Right, I know.
Get on the road.
I mean, typically we'd be starting about right now.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Good night.
Boopdarf says he wants a double intro, so...
So I mean,
Got him! Got him!
Sorry.
Did it suck?
Stop it, I was trying to drip.
So, Ahmed, you need to explain what the bell sound is for.
It's
For
the
what?
since you can't hear the dink.
When Sean's muted.
Hey, Foo.
What's up?
What are you vaping on, dude?
I'm vaping on a lot of shit right now.
Yeah?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Let's go. Do it.
Got the Catalyst, red. Daryl from the Office edition. I mean, look at that.
It's
We-
beautiful.
We all did
like
one
skinny
cocaine
Daryl.
before starting
I got the Orion V2 on here. I've got some juice I picked up from the road this week. I was in Eastern Pennsylvania in a shop called Cloud Chemistry. They make their own juice, and I tried their strawberry glazed donut, and it's pretty fucking good. I like it.
Strawberry glazed. Hey.
They should, if they could, they should call it, Forbidden Donuts or something. Because for those who don't know, Homer Simpson is all about that strawberry glazed donut. So, there goes that GIF. And then,
I was gonna say that's a gift waiting to happen, isn't it?
yeah, but so there's that. The Orion V2 is good. I stopped using the sleeve.
Oh yeah, the inner sleeve.
Yeah, I have 22 gauge in here, and that shit is warm. The sleeve also keeps the dripper neat, I've found, because if you run it without it, the top cap gets very messy. Like, just juice likes to fly when you pull it off. And I still like the way this thing vapes, though. I really like these top airflow addies.
I do find that if you don't over drip, though, the inner sleeve stays really neat and tidy on the outside. But if you over drip it, just like the Derringer, it gets messy as shit.
Yes and no. I haven't run the sleeve in about a week now, almost. I prefer to run without it just because I'm running hotter builds in here as it is without the sleeve.
Right.
Rebuilt the Aeolus last night, Parallel 26. I got Fuju in here on the Purple Titan. My NES controller is in my bed with my Goliath on top with Washington. And I got the build box with PB and Jam. What you got, Angsty?
Nice. Of course, I timed that really poorly. I was rescrewing a thing on. I have got the my standard setup. They got the Zero with the Ubertube with a Raspberry Mint in it. I have got a fancy K-Fun on the Flask. The Flask. Not gonna happen. This has got.
Google is delayed tonight.
So that has got Lab Rat Liquids, my new favorite thing and possibly the planet to drip. But I did put it into a K-Fun just to see if it'd be any good. But I'm also got the A-Mods and the Dairy, and I'm dripping this Red Rhapsody, which we'll talk about in a while. Done. John.
I'm laughing about chat from Grim Green. I forgot to push play, and I was thinking, man, they're really late tonight.
That's right, you didn't miss much of the first 10 minutes anyway.
That's just his nice way of saying I waited for 15 minutes, fast forwarded the first 15 minutes, and then got to the good stuff.
Zero Ubertoot Raspberry and Flask K14 and Nola from Lane Cove. I just hear a phone vibrate.
Everything's going to be we do need more horse shit from the chat. Saying more horse shit. Please.
No, you don't tell me what to do.
You're up, Nasty. What are you vaping on? Tell everyone.
E-juice. I still have some. I don't even know what the fuck is in here. Geez. Delicious. Yeah.
Is that the sun or understudy's arms? Wow.
Oh shit. That's great.
Plume Parker, well done. That was good.
I was waiting for the other half.
Horse shit. Horse shit.
But they're all doing it in chat, so we might as well give them that way.
Horse shit. Horse shit.
Get the self echo.
Ahmed, is that a bottle of ant killer back there?
It's an insect seal. I remember you recommended it to me last summer.
Yep.
I was actually using it the other day around my basement windows and shit.
True.
Now it's just chilling there. It's just keeping my room safe from other things.
As long as you're not sleeping in the middle of the night and it lands in your mouth.
Right.
What the hell?
I haven't slept in that futon in a while. I actually do a lot more sleeping in this chair like I did last night.
Oh God.
What happened?
I just looked at chat and saw SX350J screen glitch issue.
Yep, I saw a couple of those today. I was going to mention those during the shizo.
Uh-oh. Whoa.
Apparently just temperature control and else LEDs don't work together.
Apparently Evolve is yee.
You mean Yai E cigar?
Yai.
Yai is there's Yeehee and then there's Yai. That's Evolve Shell Company.
You want to know something funny? I saw and I know what group this picture came from, but I saw a couple of guys earlier during the week going at it back and forth because they were saying that there was Yeehee had gotten cloned, and the name of the company, the link that they put, they're like, oh, it's Yai High. Like Yai space high, and they forgot that, Yeehee went like that before. And I'm like, man, I know Yai High e-cigar.
Yai High!
I'm familiar with this.
Haha, Yeehee is evolving.
I love how one picture of one or two screen glitches and the world loses its fucking mind.
Right.
Well, of course, it's gonna lose its mind when thousands of people see the same one picture.
Well, and not only that, but what's funny is we can blame the board this time. We don't have to blame the build or the battery or the 510 or anything.
Or your coil.
The fucking stepdaughter board or...
This is me to Yeehee. You suck. And then 5 minutes later, they release an update that fixes it. We got gold now, though.
Yo,
Gold-plated.
Yeehee's got some good crucifixions management.
Yeah, they do.
Hey, Fu, what do you got for news, man?
Not much.
We're like 17 minutes in. We haven't started news yet.
Yeah, well, 8 of those minutes were eat up by Google. Thank you, base Google.
Right.
I guess
That's Google.
I gave most of my closing thoughts on the Orion because I've been vaping it for a good amount of time. Don't put parallels in it, at least not parallel 26. I think I've built it with parallels a few times, just trying to get it, and the leads just don't like catching that much wire, so it'll jank up. It would jank up my one coil be a little uneven.
But you're running parallel what gauge?
26.
26, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that bad,
So I had it rebuilt at the shop I was at because I was lazy.
You had it rebuilt. You're like, I'm not sure if you know who
It's
I am.
actually I can't remember the last time I had someone build my Addy. I don't know if I ever have any. Maybe once I've had someone else build my Addy, and that was the beginning, Mr. J. Bigglesworth. There's 22 gauge in it now, and it's really warm. It's a .2 with 22 gauge. I really like this thing though. It's got some flaws, if you will. I just for this kind of vaping, I don't think it's ideal. I feel like probably in the 40 to 50 watt range with the sleeve.
Yeah.
Much more manageable builds. It's ideal for. Very easy to build on. Just the deck is a little small. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I love the Aeolus. It's top airflow and let's see here.
You got a little more room than the Aeolus, right?
You do have more room. Let me do my little autofocus trick.
Mm-hmm.
If you see, my coils are level with the posts, whereas you take the Orion and look how high they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the posts are just tall as hell too on it.
I'm just purposely not autofocusing because drink.
Right. I'll help you. I'll blow it with mine.
So yeah, so you have to run a lot more wick than what I typically like to do, and because the deck is so small, you got to it's almost mandatory to center your builds, which is all right. It's something I'm getting the hang of now. It was something I refused to do for a while, but Addies are being designed that way to accompany center posted builds. So
yeah. So there.
Still recommend it, but yeah, like I said, I don't think it's ideal to run 100, 110 watts on it. Probably like 50, 60 tops, so this will be going on a regulated mod in due time. Other than that, I saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actually, I already used them, so I didn't save 15%. How about you, Angsty?
I'm glad you asked. So I happen to be talking to Ben from BAM Reviews online, and he's a colonist living in Ireland, and he does reviews over there. But he hit me up because we were talking about some other stuff, and he put out his Ubertoot review. And because he knows, because he and I have been talking about it for quite a while, discussing different coils and stuff, because he's had his a bit longer than I have. And he said, he said he'd released his review. I was like, okay, cool. So I popped over and I had it in another window, and as we were chatting, and all of a sudden I got to a particular spot in his review and just busted out laughing. I mean, just laughing until I was crying, because it struck me as really quite humorous, and it struck me so funny. I asked, I cut out a little clip of it, and I'm going to ask Master to play it here, and we'll see if you guys think it's as funny as I do.
Oh, do you know our viewership?
Yeah, so it's a given, hopefully.
I'll take rhetorical questions for 600.
That's right. So,
Right.
Master, if you would roll that, please. Just the stock one first, please.
All right, I'll pull that up.
This is why he's wicking the old Ubertoot, showing you how you can do that.
You need spirit fingers to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
And then we're gonna one of the edges here, sharpen it. Okay. See if I can get this on camera. And now we're gonna get this through without moving our coil position.
Sure.
Best that we can.
Yeah.
Nice in the middle, and then actually I'm gonna go a little bit farther, because this side's always fluffier because it hasn't compressed to go through the coil. And I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to unravel this one.
Oh.
You don't want to leave it compressed.
Flick it.
But you don't want to unravel it too much so it starts coming to bits.
Okay, so I was watching this thing and it just cracked me. For whatever reason, it just got my sophomoric humor going, and I told him right there and then, I said, "Ooh, that was hot." He's like, "What?" And I said, "Well, this," and I showed him the timestamp. He's like, "Oh God, you've got to put that on my YouTube channel." So I commented the comment, and then I was like, the reason I laughed, if you don't get it, this is what played in my head when he did that little move.
Nice in the middle, and then actually I'm going to go a little bit farther because this side's always fluffier because it hasn't compressed to go through the coil. And I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to unravel this one. I'm going to unravel this one. This one.
I said, ladies, hurry up, because he's about to get married. He's about to be off the market. Help him hook it up.
This one. This one. You don't want to leave it compressed.
So, thank you, Ben, for...
Let's get it cease and desist.
Oh, right. Holy crap, that did live for a long time. Damn it.
Quickly, add a bunch of noise around it.
Oh, right, exactly. It's like, should have been talking more over it or something. Oh, well.
Oh, and chat just caught up.
My mind's telling me no. Yes. So, besides that, I actually did have a little bit more appropriate vape mail to talk about. So Vaping was having a sale this last week, and they've had a top cap for the K-Fund that I've wanted for quite some time, and I'm not looking at the camera at the moment because I'm setting it up to put on my normal, how I've been running it so far. Sean's had one of these things for a while, and I kind of dug it, so I ordered the top cap, and they accidentally sent me the tank with it, too. Which is
I have one, too.
Huh?
I have one, too.
You have one, too?
The flat top cap?
Yeah.
No, different flat top cap.
Oh, about to say, I didn't remember.
I have the reservoir cap.
You have
Yes, this is the reservoir dual use, whatever, funky cap, which I thought was kind of cool. So they accidentally sent the tank along with it. So what it is it's a K-Fund tank, but uber tiny because it actually drops. So this doesn't even have the nano top chimney in it. It does. This thing seals straight against the barrel of the chimney, which I think is really cool. So not only is it super dinky and ridiculous short, of course I've been running it on my Triple T, which makes this a very functional, useful sort of mod. And look how tiny it is. No, it's tiny. So this is so much fun. I definitely took a picture of it and used it for quite some time. And then I've been running it on other things because I kind of felt bad about it because I was running it kind of in an unsafe manner. So if anybody is watching, don't do what I did, which is run a 0.8 coil on an 18240 battery. That's not a good idea. That's too many amps.
You didn't have to tell anybody what on the coil was.
Right, it was too many amps. Don't do that. So I actually right before the show, I actually took it off and recoiled it so I can do it in a safe manner. But I will say that like other nano and drop kits and whatever brand is talking about, when you shorten that chimney up, it's surprising how warm the vape gets. Like even the Ubertube, something I talked about last week, when I got the mini kit for it, one of the things I hadn't actually even thought about was how warm the vape got. This one, dropping the entire upper chimney, is a significantly warm vape, especially for a K-Fund. It's a really weird, it's almost like a goblin-y kind of vape temperature, not the airflow, of course, but really, really quite warm on a K-Fund, which is kind of cool. Downside, of course, this thing holds a whopping 1.7 mil of e-liquid because I measured it. But thanks to the little reservoir cap or whatever, it actually holds 1.7, which a lot of the other nano kits don't. This holds like almost a mil just by itself, I think, supposedly. But what it does is there's a ridge around the outside. There's a big O-ring that kind of sits in there, and it just sort of smashes up against it and seals against the barrel. Very pleasant, very happy little vape.
When you think about it, if you take a stock K-Fund with the chimney and the barrel, right, and you take that, you're essentially cutting the travel distance of the vape like in half, if not a little more, right?
Absolutely, yeah, totally. So much so that I've been running this a couple of watts less than I normally run a K-Fund. I normally run a K-Fund around 19 or so watts, and this one I've been running like 17, 17 and a half, which is what I've got on there right now, with great success. It's very tasty. So Science of Vaping, I will post the link in there if you're interested. You can go check that guy out. I happen to get a really good deal on it. It was the 50% off sale. So you can follow those guys on Instagram. That's where they post the last coupon. Maybe they'll do it again. I don't know. But I got a great.
I think he does 50% off sales a year.
There you go. There you go. So in there, I'm running a Red Rhapsody by Lab Rat Liquid. So this last week, I did order a bottle of Red Rhapsody, which I had tried at the last con that we all went to, but I tried it on Foo's mech with your angry .002 build on it, and it was too warm for me. I didn't particularly care for it.
0.17, motherfucker.
I know. I'm exaggerating. It's a little hyperbole. But now that I've got it on something that I'm much more comfortable with, this one actually I'm running it at the moment on nickel, and kind of maxing it out, and it's really fabulous juice. So I've really been a big fan of Baked Blue. That's my Lab Rat preferred liquid. This one has trumped it. I really, really, really like this tart kind of raspberry going on that he's got. To me, I don't get as much of the bakery as his other ones. The bakery kind of crumble note, it's there, but it's a little more subtle. This one's more like almost like a slightly creamy fruit more than anything to me, at least on this build. But fabulous. What are we going to talk about next?
You should save the fire. You should save the burning things for last.
Should I? All right.
I also have burning things.
Okay. Masty, that last picture that I sent right before we started, would you mind throwing that up, please? So I just saw this, I think it was today on ECR. Apparently Kanger has got a new thing coming out, and it's called the, I don't even know how to say it, it's the subox, or subox. It's the sub-tank box.
When I first looked at it, I thought it said Sunbox, and I was going to be like, somebody's going to get pissed.
Somebody's going to get sued. But Massey's got it up now. It's actually kind of an interesting looking little thing. It doesn't look like an Evolve board necessarily, not too much anyway. It does, so one of the things I didn't like about the K box was A, no display, and B, the power adjustments were super coarse, and I don't remember what they are offhand, but there were several watts between some of the steps, and
like 7, 14, 23.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're running tanks on something like that, a watt or two makes a lot of difference, right? I mean, I like, for example, like a K-Fund, it's really good at 17 to 19 watts. If you have to jump from 14 to 25, that's too many watts. I mean, right, one of them's going to be too cool, one of them's going to be too hot, you're burning stuff. So that's one of the things I didn't like about the K box, but this one seems like they've tried to fix that. I don't know what kind of board is in it yet. This is the first press release thing that I've seen, but I thought it looked kind of cool, and it takes a 650, so I thought I'd share it out.
I quite like the white and black sub-tanks, too.
Yeah, that's true. And I did jot a little note. They run from 15 watts to 60 watts at half an ohm, so that's a pretty powerful little thing, which is kind of cool. I think the old black one's neat with the red buttons. I think the white one with the black buttons is cool. So I don't know if they suck, but I thought they looked cool, so I thought I'd share them. So the last one is just that one fire one.
Got it.
Did you want me to wait about for some reason?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. So the smock, and as Phil Bastardo would say, smock, not smuck tech, but the smock M80 is apparently very aptly named. The user by Ale Clouds on ECR posted this thing where he's got an entire freaking folder of pictures of what happened to his house. So he and his roommate, I'm not sure which one of them, plugged in their Smoke M80 and charged it for I think the second or third time or something, and it lit their house on fire. So it is not clear from the reports that we're getting. Apparently, it was authenticated that this really did happen. What's not clear yet is why it happened, but supposedly it was from charging. But we don't know what they were using to charge it. Some of these guys are using crappy branded, off-branded chargers. That can cause a problem in just about any device that's got a battery, and especially high-drain ones like this. But you can see some of the damage that happened to this guy's house, and that really kind of sucks. Kind of feel bad for that.
Must have been a hell of a vape.
What's that?
So it must have been a hell of a vape.
Must have been a hell of a vape. So the TLDR on this is just like we talked about in the other various devices that we've covered lately that are apparently going up in smoke. be careful when you're charging your stuff. It doesn't matter if you're using an off-branded Fast Tech whatever plugged in. It doesn't matter if you're using an IntelliCharger i4. Our recommendation is do not wander away from your batteries as they're charging, because something weird can happen.
Heat-aged juice there.
Yeah, it kind of looks like what's that obsidian mother's milk there? It looks kind of like that.
Looks like it's been steeped in asbestos.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get really close to, if you're going to buy like a cheap lipo box, get yourself a lipo bag to charge it in.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think even if you just have normal batteries in it, just throw it in the bag. The bag doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to save your house, but man,
it's more safer than not.
Right, but you know what? You can call me crazy, and I know it's safe, but even my drill that's got one of those high-fangled, hand drill lipos, I just don't leave it charging. Like overnight, I go out in the garage and pull it off. When I leave the house, if I have it charged, and you know what? It doesn't matter. Let me switch my camera. It doesn't matter anymore because I can literally put that battery on there, hit the power boost on it, and in 10 minutes it's already got half a charge. So it's not like, oh man, now I have to wait if I take the battery off the charger. It's just simple things that you can do to basically take the luck factor out of it. Is what I call it. I never leave any batteries charging overnight. And again, you're gonna have some people are gonna be like, "Oh, that's just stupid. I've been charging batteries for 25 years. I still have the same batteries, and I charge it."
I used to pedal my bike.
Same batteries I had 25 years ago.
Yeah, and some people are like that. Some people are like, "Oh, you don't need to change batteries out. I've had the same batteries vaping on the same mod for 5 years. It's been great."
Well, that's the other. Change out your damn batteries regularly.
Yep.
I just bought 10 25Rs.
And that's the thing, too. Why the fuck do people keep old batteries around for? Recycle them. You can buy. How much did you pay for them, Ahmed? $5 a battery?
Yep.
$6 a battery?
It was like $60 shipped, $61.80.
No fucking excuse. I love people who have a especially a mech mod. They'll have a mech mod and they'll have a $150 Addy on it, but they don't want to fucking buy a battery. Really?
Right, you got this battery you've been taxing like crazy for 6 months, and it gets a nick in the wrapper, and you're just like, oh, well, maybe I should rewrap it. Maybe you should just recycle it and buy a new damn battery.
I held on to my DTC5s, man. That shit is vintage.
And that's another thing too. Recycle your batteries. Don't just throw them in the trash. And please do not throw multiple ones in the trash.
Yeah, dude, don't treat your batteries like ethyl maltol.
Yeah.
As we chat about exploding mods, and this is why I asked you to save this to last, because this segues into the exploding mods that I have to talk about.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Being 2 more exploding mods, the Cherry Bomber, being a mech box that's on the market,
also well named,
also aptly named.
Yeah, it's just you're fucked when you name it that.
But I guess what's happening with that is the Addy is grounding it to the box, and it's frying the insulator, and it can blow up. And it's bad. It's the clones, it's the authentic, it's all of them. They can all go boom really fast. I talked to 3 people in the Plumes group who had it happen to theirs. And the IPv4 has an exposed DC charging port that if e-liquid gets into it, it will catch on fire.
You saw this that I posted earlier, right, in our chat, like 3 hours ago? That they released a video?
Yeah, I did see that they released a video. I didn't watch their video yet because they're lighting on fire.
Well, that's true, but the video was kind of interesting because they hooked up one of their mods to an amp measurement device and then just sat there and poured juice in it.
No shit.
Yeah, and it didn't. Because, I mean, it's
not every box. Okay, we'll give it that. It's not every box.
It's certainly not every box, but because everybody knows that e-liquid is not really that terribly conductive, right? Otherwise, right now this would be shorting out.
Here's the video that Anksy's talking about. It's like 30 seconds, so.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
There we go.
You can even skip to halfway through or whatever, just see him doing it.
Turn it off.
No imitation.
Zoom in on that shit.
So just to be fair, we wanted to make sure that we disclose not only what happened, what apparently has happened to other people's devices, but also what the company is saying too. So
absolutely. But devices are catching on fire.
for whatever reason. Yeah.
Be it e-liquid in the charging port or not, devices are absolutely catching on fire.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this when we started to see the boom of high wattage box mods coming out of China.
The what?
I think the boom of high wattage box mods coming out of China. Unintended.
Dad jokes.
But I think we talked about that. As we're hitting more and more manufacturers, and as we're hitting more and more mods coming out every week, it shouldn't. I don't know. To me, it's not a surprise that we have a bunch that are failing.
Right.
There's so many of them. I guarantee they're not going through normal testing, intense testing. So, it's not surprising to me. Just do your homework before you buy something and make sure that you watch shit when you charge it.
Yes. Sean, you're being asked what's on your laptop behind you.
Oh, it's a Shy Guy.
Oh, it's a Shy Guy.
Yeah, it's a Shy Guy.
He's not very shy if he's standing
Shy
there.
Guy with a huge Final Fantasy Buster sword.
Yeah.
Only one eye.
That's why it doesn't really look like a Shy Guy.
Speaking of busters, we've got one in the chat, I believe, right? Or is he not watching tonight? Damn.
Which one?
The Buster.
The Buster.
The Buster. What up, Buster?
So
are you talking about the Buster that I think you're talking about?
Yeah.
The Cloud Corner one.
Let that freaking out him like that. Shit.
I mean,
Let's trying to keep him
seriously.
discreet and just know him as a Buster.
It doesn't matter.
Another phone.
Because there he is. We love him. It's fine.
Nick says, do your own work.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Oh, dear.
I think my spleen just ruptured from that joke.
On a good news update, I found out late last week that I am having a baby girl.
Yay!
Yeah, I said he would. I'm like, you keep fucking saying, you want a boy. I'm like, you're going to get a girl. But yes,
Of course.
Congrats.
I'm very, very pleased. I tend not to share much about my personal life. I will share that, and I'm going to leave it at that.
Is that a stick-on tattoo?
Yeah, absolutely. I can peel it off right now if you want me to.
Oh, okay. Henna? Okay.
All right. House Bill 2058. House Bill 2058 is a bill that we want to support, not a bill that we want to go against.
For the first time in quite some time,
Yeah.
there's actually a bill we want to support.
The reason why we want to support 2058 and why everybody should support 2058 is because what it's going to do is it's going to push the grandfather date from 2009 to a much more current time frame, which we desperately need before regulations.
Yes.
I'm going to link CASA in chat. Please check that out. Please send an email. Please talk to your representatives. That is a big that's a big win for us if this bill passes. It's a huge win for us. Enough on that one. We have a change.org petition for supporting e-cigs. I'll share that in chat as well. Pretty much everything that I have tonight is all advocacy stuff. So, stop tobacco-like restrictions on e-cigarettes. It's cool. It's a good petition. It's got 5,600, but I mean, the change.org petitions can actually go a pretty long way if they get enough signatures.
Mm-hmm.
In UK advocacy news, Totally Wicked is doing a challenge to Article 20 in the UK, which is pretty much the thing in the UK that's going to fuck with vaping as a whole. The challenge and why they want you to support them, they basically launched a challenge to the EU Tobacco Products Directive last year on Article 20. And this is basically like getting together from the looks of it, and join them against Article 20. Add your name to a list, so you can pretty much sign up on this petition. Dr. Farsalinos did a study. Dr. Farsalinos did a metals study, basically to fact check a study that happened prior about metals from e-cigarettes. All this stuff was tested on Gen 1 devices, so it wasn't even like stainless steel and Pyrex. They overestimated the daily use of cigarettes, assuming that a vapor takes 1,200 puffs. A lot of us probably do take that many, but we're the extreme in that. Apparently, the average daily is 600 puffs.
Is that right?
Yeah, apparently that's what it.
I hate
They
that
basically
word.
found a lot less metal compared to acceptable intake for inhalational medications, and a lot less metal than what that original study found. I'm going to post that study as well. You guys should check it out rather than me read it to you little bit by little bit.
I freaking hate the word puffs.
Puffs. Yeah.
It's
Toots.
so emasculating.
Like
I just think of tissues.
Right.
I don't like toots at all either, so
No, that's true. Although I kind of like toots. Toots are funny.
But
Who the fuck would say toots?
I can think of about one person.
About approximately one person.
The results of their risk assessment showed that exposure to metals from e-cigarettes is not expected to be of a significant health concern for smokers who switch to e-cigarettes. However, there's a need to improve the quality of the products, like cheap brass addies and copper addies and shit, to further reduce unnecessary exposure. Finally, there's no reason for a non-smoker to be exposed to any levels of metals, thus we do not recommend the use of e-cigarettes by people who have never smoked, which that's pretty standard documentation in any studies. If you didn't smoke, don't vape. If you want to, though, feel free. I know a lot of people who started vaping and never smoked.
I don't know a lot of people, but I do know people.
Lastly, the state of Indiana, which we talked about how fucked they are last week, a bunch of vendors have gotten together to sue the state of Indiana. I'm going to save a little bit more of the details of this with our current guest, and then maybe we'll even have the guys on who are suing at a later date. But there are a group of vendors that are suing the state, so hopefully that will kind of make Indiana not fucked, would be the hope.
Yes. They would prefer to be unfucked, I'm sure.
Yeah. That doesn't hold true for all walks of life, but for this one,
yes.
That's all I got, Nasty. What do you got?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to show was there was a guy that posted a picture midweek of a friend of his who was an IT guy during the day and did some work at night, and this is one of the pictures that he had showing off the wiring, the backdoor mod. Or mods. This guy does all the wiring in them. It looks like a Hannah style. He's got a billet box there too, but that's pretty impressive with the wiring.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That looks so cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Don't ask me how long that takes, because that's pretty intricate there.
You'd think you could probably do like a jig or something, right? If he was repeating it.
Yeah. You have something that'll have the sizes already, ready to go.
But your solder game's got to be on point too, right?
It does.
Like down at the bottom of those, because those standoffs were very specifically wired with the adjustment buttons there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yep. So that's pretty neat. So just goes to show some people doing some nice clean work on devices, something that can be done.
Oh my God, Hacks in the chat says he loves the back door.
Of course, I knew there was gonna be a backdoor joke. I'm just like, I'm not gonna say anything because I know chat's gonna say some shit.
Absolutely. So let me pull the email up. Last week we talked about this guy here, the Silo Beast, okay, from Beyond Vape, and Leora, she's one of the staff over there at Beyond Vapes. We'd been talking about the inner seal. Let me pull the image up of that. That basically seals the top of the tank to basically where your
chimney
drip tip goes in the chimney. Yeah, I guess it's the top of the chimney.
Yeah.
And basically, Anksy had taken a picture. I don't know if I still have it, but. What was happening is that that seal was constricting some of the air you know, basically that was coming up through.
You want me to show mine?
No, I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Got mine handy. I can zoom in on it real quick. And by the way, you know what's funny is after all this, it finally started happening to me. I don't know. I don't think I told you that today, but it totally started happening to me. So to me, it wasn't kind of exactly what I found, what we talked about last week. To me, it was exactly what I got right now, and I kind of left it like this on purpose. So you can see there's actually liquid on top of that seal.
Yeah.
And it's also liquid here.
Yeah.
And I think it's not a perfect seal or something unless you've got it quite all the way screwed down, and that's what's letting in air and gurgling around it or something. There's something in there anyway that's causing that.
So we talked about that on here, and you know, one of the things that I wanted to say is I've been pretty happy with the support and responses and information that we've been getting back from Beyond, because you know, we test these things out and we give them all kinds of feedback, but sometimes on some companies you usually don't hear anything back. And I didn't even have a chance to tell them about, you know, the seal and stuff like that, but I'm sure they already knew about it. So they had sent an email that basically said, I know you're super excited to be testing this and all this. As it turns out, 90% of the beasts were assembled incorrectly, and the seal on the top is not the one that we had approved for on the sample. So the seal that's in there right now is the one with a smaller hole, which inhibits airflow and causes condensation. The current seal provides good airflow, but our intention was for the beast was that it would be a tank with both great airflow and flavor. We're correcting this, you know, and they're going to send the new ring and everything like that. So that is
and not just really not cool. Just to us, by the way.
Right. That's to everyone who's got one.
Right.
So. You know, it's pretty cool that is, you know, they're updating that. A lot of people would have been like, well, you know, that's that revision. Revision 2 will have this in it. So, I don't know. That's pretty cool. I just wanted to mention that about Beyond Vapes, that, you know, they knew something was up.
Yeah. Keeping track and care of their customers. I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. And I think that's it for me. I think that's pretty much all I had.
That it?
I had written down batteries on there, but you know, just with all the mods, you know, catching on fire. We kind of went over this earlier. You know, also with the wall warts that it comes with, make sure that you're using, you know, the ones the manufacturer sent you, just because you know, it's close to the same voltage or it has the right barrel connector on it. Doesn't mean, you know, that it's gonna work. So, you know, the IPv4, I think it's that charge board is in a very precarious place, right below the 510, sandwiching between the 510 and the battery. There's not much room up there.
Yeah.
Do I think that liquid could have caused something like that? I'm not sure. Because I don't have one. I haven't seen what the board looks like. But a lot of those boards have you know, they have the conform on them, which basically seals the board to any liquids, right? So you would just have the inductor that's left on the top. And we do know that the inductors do get warm, and it's going to do that. That's what it's doing, taking that 9 volt, you know, and basically warming that.
Warming it up.
That 10 up. And yeah, that's what it did. It warmed that liquid up real quick.
Yeah.
But you know, that's left to be seen. And I don't know. I think the build quality on those is a little shoddy to begin with. So, but yeah, just be careful with your stuff. Get those lipo bags. So.
Yep.
Mario, on to you.
Take care of your shit.
Take care of your shit. Clean your mouth.
It is guest time. Our guest is prepping right now because we can't actually hide. Well, we can hide people, but it doesn't.
Just doesn't work.
Damn! Look at that.
Oh, right. Look at there. Right in there.
We had to kick our guest out, which we usually let them stand here and watch.
Right.
We'll do the first part of the show, and now we had to get him to come back in, but he had to stop and probably change because we were making fun of him.
No, I think this is great. We've got one of the most well-dressed guests we've had on yet.
I agree. He doesn't beat Joe from Pure Bacco, though.
I was about to say, Joe.
Oh, that's true. Joe did have the vest on,
Yeah.
right?
Joe had a vest.
That's true.
So everybody, our guest tonight is Matt Morales. He is a vaping lobbyist and the director of the does director work?
Executive director.
Executive director of NAVB. Do you want to tell the people watching a little bit about what you do?
Well, NAVB is a national trade association focused on supporting the world of vape shops, online distributors, e-juice makers, and supporting them not just from the legislative point, but also from the business growth point. We try to do a lot of business work, a lot of real trade association work, getting the maturity of the industry going. So,
True.
that's it. We're done.
And part of that comes into lobbying and some of the stuff that you did in Arizona. So let's talk a little bit about being a vaping lobbyist, because a lot of your focus was on the actual act of lobbying, correct?
Yes, it is to protect the businesses that we support and that we that are members of our group. Part of it, and actually the biggest part has been lately, has been making sure that laws don't get written. Right here, we're in Arizona, to block their ability to sell, to make sure that they can keep those doors open and they can keep selling the products that people enjoy, and to keep their mission alive, to stop people from smoking. So bills are coming through in the way of taxation, flavor restrictions, labeling restrictions, and we were able to successfully push those back, which was really nice.
First off, the public chat, you need to mute it because it's dinging. And it's picking up.
It's annoying. This chat still is killing us.
Yeah. So do you want to talk specifics about that a little bit? About what it takes to be a lobbyist, what exactly a vaping lobbyist or a lobbyist in general does, and a little bit of specifics about what you've done in Arizona?
I've been a lobbyist for a while, but I have a very particular style that I enjoy using that is building up long-term relationships. And so when things like this come up, where we have these issues that affect the vape community, especially the retailers, that we can get in there and use those long-term relationships to sit and discuss what the impact is going to be to small business, what the impact is going to be tax-wise, and it makes it a lot easier to talk to people if you have a ground coming from a built-up trust already. That's probably one of my biggest points that I always push on. It's rough to come in right when a bill is being discussed and try to make your point like on the day that it's being voted on, because for all intents and purposes, these bills can be decided months before they're actually put to a vote. And if you're not a part of that discussion, you can really hinder your ability to be successful. So we try to not go away all year long. We're making sure that the information is there, keeping them up to date, keeping them ready for these bills, and keeping the people filled with the right knowledge and the evolving knowledge that comes in the vape and e-cigarette industry, so that they're not caught off guard. They'll come back and be like, Matt, I didn't know this was going to happen, or I didn't know that this bill did one thing or another. I'd rather have them informed all the way through, so when somebody's even speaking of bringing up a bill, they already know what they're talking about, and they can put the brakes on then and there. We've gotten caught up a little bit because we like we would rather not see a bill sometimes see the light of day, so that the business community continues to move forward, and it helps also in the PR section, because you don't want these bills popping up and creating a media frenzy just to get the greater society or the greater constituency all riled up, which I completely understand. That's what a news organization is there for. If I was on the news, I'd want to keep people coming back, and one of their major tactics is to use fear. So you get that teaser going right before the next segment that your kids are going to die today or something like that, and more after
Join us at 11.
Yeah, join us at 11.
Razor blades in your candy.
So we had a really good question in chat, and I want to deter you for a second because I feel like we have to get this out of the way first.
Okay, let's hear it.
I love that we have lobbyists, but does he even vape?
Oh,
Yes. Fantastic question. And see everybody, he actually fired it properly. He didn't use this thing.
Yes, I
That is a proper.
Yeah, dude, I vape.
Exactly.
I met Matt actually when James and Dan and Ed on Inside Vaping had him on, and I met him after that show. And one of your big things I know about being, even when you were talking, when I listened to you talking to other people about getting lobbyists, for them is that they have to. You want them to vape. You want them to understand the industry, and you want them to be vapors.
That's something I look for. I was a consummate cigar and hookah guy before. Loved it all through college, and I would every time I was studying, every time I was with friends, then right into becoming a lobbyist, it was cigars and scotch, and that's that. When I finally got to that point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore, and a good friend introduced me to vaping several years ago. It changed the way my entire perspective on it. So it's nice to come back to the office or do something after a meeting and not smell like Havana.
Yeah.
Stuff is completely like just covered in soot.
Yeah.
You know what? And my this is actually a gift right here. It's in copper. Copper's big for us in Arizona, and so I've been able to grab other legislators and lobbyists and say, hey, look, it's time for you to stop as well. So more than just being an advocate, being a friend to people. When I see somebody who's smoking, if I see a lobbyist, I try to get them to switch. And when they've seen how much better their life can be, when they see, it's so much easier to run, so much easier to walk up a flight of stairs, that's what I'm looking for. So I look for people who not only are ready to lobby, because there's a ton of fantastic lobbyists in the United States, right? They cover all types of different industries. But if I'm looking for someone to join the group or the cause or try to advocate as well, I'd like to have somebody that does vape, so they understand what an impact it made personally in their lives,
right.
And it adds authenticity to their story.
Sure.
Because they hear people talk about their personal issues all day that they're advocating for, they're lobbying for. But when someone has that piece of personal information, says not only do I lobby for this cause, but I also am somebody who's benefited from it, and I can tell you how much it works. So there's that to it. And I'm always double-fisted. Just in case you do want to know that I vape, I'm always either a box and mech with me.
Nice. So circling back a little bit to what you were talking about a minute ago, so this is something that I add to my CASA calls to actions and stuff, and I've mentioned this on the show before, but I always add in a couple of paragraphs that I wrote a while back that basically says kind of what we do here and how it's affected me, and the fact that I'm kind of involved in the community quite a lot, and I know how this stuff works. And one of the things that bothers the stew out of me for this whole legislative scene, right, that you have to deal with all the time, is the fact that there's a lot of people out there making these decisions that affect me, and they don't know what they're talking about, right? That really, really bothers me. So that's one of the things I always say is, like, look, I know how this stuff works inside and out. Please use me, right? I would love to talk to you and explain how this, not only how it works, technically how it works, but how people use it and how it affects people. And so, what you're saying kind of makes sense when you're looking for a lobbyist to hire, is people that know it, they can educate, not just lobby, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's the difference between being a good friend to somebody. So when you're talking to a legislator, go meet your legislator in your area. Take them out for coffee, sit and discuss how you feel about something, and work to build a relationship of trust, right? So that they understand that not only do you believe it, but you know it well,
yeah.
And your opinion can help them become a better legislator. Because, it's impossible for them to know every single topic, every single thing that's going through, when they're receiving hundreds of different bills that are going through in a blaze of time. Yeah. What only seems like, our issue is up and we've got 15 minutes and they really don't care. No, they've been working on this for a long time and they've been hit with all kinds of questions and concerns all throughout the time. So you want to be that pillar that they can rely on for good information.
Right. Sure.
So I'm a big believer in God I trust, but all others must bring data, right? So Be the guy who comes in with the thing. At NavB, we've compiled a list of some of the best articles, the best data that can come through, and we try to put it in the best hands possible. Sometimes, though, that's not actually the legislature. Sometimes it's the researchers that work in and around those assemblies, right?
Right.
People sometimes need to go and talk to. And we're big advocates of getting to know the process. And if you really want to be an advocate, you can be an advocate among vapors, and you can push vapors to do calls to action, things like that, which are fantastic.
Right.
But really wishing to take that next step, it's going to take an investment of your own personal time to go down there, find out who they are. I think earlier in the chat, I placed in a link to find your congressional representative, because 2058 is coming to the U.S. Congress, and even out here in the West, we're talking to congressmen and congresswomen about making sure to sponsor it and for them to understand why they should sponsor it. But if you live in an area where you have your own congressman who doesn't know a lot about vaping, click on that link, put in your zip code, find out who they are, give them a phone call, say, hey, if he or she's back in town, I'd really like to sit and talk to them in just 15 minutes and sit and so that I can discuss how I feel about this.
We have a couple questions from chat.
Let's hear
Question number 1. How expensive is lobbying, and what do those costs consist of?
Okay, so you have there are several different costs. We'll start off with the first one. Depends if you're going to make your own group or not, right? If you're going to create a political committee, there are costs, usually minimal, to build a committee and then to represent yourself as a group. That can be minimal if you're using advocates that come from the community. If you are going to bring in a lobbyist, right? At that point, you really need to see how much money it's going to take per that particular lobbyist. I always suggest going through and interviewing several so to see if they understand your topic better than anybody else. And then it's going to go into full negotiation. It can be as little, and I know I'm saying it's little, but it can be as little as maybe $2,500 a month to $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
For the right person.
Because they're professionals, right? Like any other thing.
Yeah.
They do this for a living.
They absolutely. I do this for a living too, so I completely understand. That's why creating the National Trade Association, where people could pay a very low price altogether, and to build up their efforts together, became one of the best ways to get it done.
That kind of leads into the next question from Ruby Roo. Are vaping lobbyists sponsored by certain companies?
Some of them are, and what we usually refer to those are as government relations people within a company. Enjoy has its own government relations person. She's fantastic. Her name is Pamela Gorman. Other individual companies have chosen the route to hire their own lobbyists to push them forward. Then you have ones that spring up from the community naturally. Sometimes you get a person who's a vapor who is just someone who's really concerned and kind of brings himself up on the laws and the ability to do it. Or you have people like myself and other trade associations who've gathered groups of people together and actually directly represent their members. So I directly represent those people who are a part of our association. And that's where they come from.
Represent businesses, not consumers.
Correct. NavB is a group of owners, people that are actually building businesses and progressing the industry as they go along. So it's different. I mean, it's sometimes there's other groups out there that just represent the community or just represent vapors themselves.
Right.
We take it as the business side. We work with other trade associations that are national trade associations whom we've partnered with to create a larger scope of business, but we are there to make sure things that don't happen to those businesses affect the greater ability for them to sell. One of them would be the tax issue. There's taxes that were put forward in a bill here in the state of Arizona that would have been $1 a mil, which is ridiculous, our estimation, because not because they were going to create a black market that they didn't even see, right? Arizona businesses, Arizona business owners, Arizona employees of those small businesses were about to get hurt, and they had no clue because they thought what they were doing was based in this altruistic idea of saving children.
Right.
And I love children. I love my children. I love everyone's children in my neighborhood. But that is a separate issue from taxation and targeting businesses who are an emerging industry just to put them down because you think it'll make you feel better at the end of the day. So,
and that goes to the education part too, right? Because I knew early on, and even the national level of when they were going through to figure out their deeming regs, right? They were trying to equate a milliliter of juice to how many cigarettes that is, right? And try to tax it kind of at the same scale, right? And they simply just didn't know that, you know, a dripper can go through this in a day, right?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, taxing this thing, like you said, like $1 a mil or whatever is preposterous. Like,
yeah, there's no equality. So the problem is that they think everything is cigarettes.
right.
Right? So that's your first issue. Your first war you're going to fight with someone who doesn't understand is, well, it's tobacco.
Right.
So just like a cigarette. And you know, and I know, and probably most of the people watching here, that it's just not the same.
Right.
That's the first hurdle you're going to jump through, is having to explain what it is.
Right.
You have to explain the why. Why is it here? And then some legislators have this idea in their head that this is a big move by big tobacco to reabsorb new customers. When the truth of the matter is, we personally don't represent anybody who's a part of big tobacco.
Right.
We represent people who are small business owners who took pieces of their life savings and said, you know what, I'm going to do something. I'm going to make a great business for myself and my family, and I'm going to try to help the community at the same time. So you have the vape industry in general, the brick and mortars across the United States and the online purveyors. Some of them are first time. Actually, I'd say a large number of the ones that I've met are first time business owners.
Yeah.
Right? This is their first time getting out there, and that's why we try so hard to get in with those companies to make sure that they know proper business practice.
Right.
We're big believers at NAVB of business ethics across the board, right? Business to business, business to community, businesses to federal, businesses to state, that to be able to be here for the extended period of time, right? To say that I've had my business here for a long time in this community and I've helped, you have to be able to work with a community to get it done. And so you show them that you're serious. This isn't like a head shop or a lot of people immediately when they see vape think that it's a part of the dispensary and green industries like marijuana industries here in Arizona. And we have to put our foot down immediately and say, no, this is not that. All right? NAVB doesn't represent anybody in the marijuana affiliated industries or the marijuana dispensing industries. Our shops are focused on vape. We like vape only shops. We don't advocate for shops that have combustibles with vape. So we're pretty singularly focused in what we do.
I'm trying to get wording for this other question. Lobbyists out there supporting big pharma or big tobacco or have some affiliation with American Heart and Lung Association, would they be willing to support vaping and not have a conflict of interest? Basically, can lobbyists that are supporting tobacco, pharma, heart and lung support vaping as well, or is that a conflict of interest?
That's a very mixed and complicated question. So it depends on the particular lobbyist. It depends if the big tobacco group is moving into vaping and then all of a sudden they see the light and they start helping vape advocates move in the right direction. But that is really, really difficult because I've tried to get the American Lung Association, American Cancer Society, those groups right there, they're singularly focused on ending everything. They want everything to go zero. They don't want anything to happen at all.
Right.
There are deep connections, though, where some of them have received grant money from federal grants that are created from what's called the Master Settlement Agreement, which is the big tobacco agreement that happened back in the 90s. So, personally, I would say you can't serve two masters.
Right.
You can't take money in this hand and say, oh, I want this to be my handful of my big tobacco, big pharma money, and then, oh, I'll go over here and I'll help vape as well. Especially when your clients start meshing up against each other and causing problems for each other. It makes you ineffective. So that's part of the reason when you're looking for the right lobbyist, sometimes you want somebody who's just inside of that piece right there. There's always hope. There's hope that we could get more of those groups. This week I saw a couple of different studies come from groups that were severely anti-vape that are starting, like the Legacy project this past week, is looking and breaking their walls and saying, look, these are actually helping. People are moving forward and away from combustible cigarettes, which have been the greatest harm. So it's possible,
yeah,
but we are more focused on going after where the votes are counted first.
Mm-hmm. So as somebody who's kind of navigated this political landscape for a little while and understands representatives and lawmakers, as a consumer and as a person who wants to get involved and wants to be able to make a difference and wants to make sure that what I say is said kind of, I guess, in the way that will have the most effect.
Yeah.
How would I go about doing that, or how would a consumer or a person go about choosing to fight or to advocate for vaping?
So there's a couple of simple steps you got to start out with. First, you have to learn what the lobbying rules are in your state, city or county, or wherever you're choosing to lobby on behalf of vapor advocacy.
Well, not just for lobbying, just in general, just because of your familiarity with the political landscape.
Well, that gets to the point, because there's some rules that apply before you even walk up to that committee hearing that you have to get through. If you wanted to start, the first thing I would do is contact a local group if you have a group already running in your area. Step one. Step two, if there is no group, you research the laws to find out what lobbying is in your area, or you can come as a concerned citizen, and most every jurisdiction across the United States will allow you to speak for yourself just by walking up and getting it done. They always do want to see people who live in those areas and be a part of that community. That's the next step. The third and probably the most important step of all this is find out what the rules are of your particular legislature, town council, city council, whatever it is. All of them have rules on how you can address the people involved, how you can ask questions, who you can talk to, and for what period of time. Some of them don't allow questions at all, but you have to understand that that's the third step. The next thing that you want to absolutely do is register to vote. If you're not registered to vote right now and you're watching this, please, I'll make sure that we'll get a link up or find the links in your area to get registered to vote, because it is the first thing they ask you sometimes. If you come up as a citizen to a legislator, they'll ask you, so do you vote?
Yeah.
And you be able to confidently say, yes, I'm a voter, I believe in this, and I not only advocate here on the floor, I go back into the voting booth and I make it happen. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Because people want to know that you're just not some fly-by-night advocate. So I'm going to just pop up and be really angry about this for a short period of time and then don't expect me back again. What you want to do is show that you're in this for the long haul. So that's part of that solidifying piece that people will know you're an advocate. The cream and like the polish that comes on becoming a really good advocate is the reading of every single article you can find. Start drafting your own op-eds, right? Come talk to us on Facebook, and there's other vapor advocates out there that'll help you with editing so that you can get to your local papers and that you can establish yourself as somebody who is knowledgeable in this area. That creates the overall trust that'll bind your, when you go in front of those legislatures, that'll bind those pieces together and let people know not only am I here, I'm very knowledgeable in this subject and I come with you.
Sure. And the last step, of course, is wear sleeves when you talk to these people.
Well, I knew I was coming on here, so I
Or you're making up for the rest of us. That's fine.
But I mean, my sleeves are rolled up, super unprofessional.
Right.
Picking up the slack.
Yeah. So, but that's something we talked about briefly. I think it was last night, right? Is how you present yourself to these people may matter, right?
It could matter. It very much does matter. And we've seen some things happening on different parts of the internet where people talk about what it takes to be going in front of your legislators, in front of your representatives, and doing it. This is my usual uniform. I took the tie off to relax with you guys, but I know that there is a certain level of standard when I walk into the state capitol, and it's not to show respect to the representatives themselves, but it's a respect to the area. Right? Yeah. When you step onto the floor of a committee hearing, or if you get to the chance, you get the chance to actually step on the floor of the House or the Senate, there is a certain respect you're paying to that place, not just to the people, but to the process.
to the process in the office, right? I mean, like,
it's you know what? It's that sometimes we forget how lucky we are as Americans to have this ability to freely petition our assemblies and speak our mind and actually say what we feel and vote for that feeling and not fear any condemnation.
right.
And that's why you do it. There is a I've been lobbying for some time now, right? For years actually, and I never ever have lost that feeling each time I get up to a microphone to state a case, because it is special, it is your right, and it should not be taken lightly. As you start to study what's out there, there's a lot of good information on the internet. If you hit us up on our board on Facebook, we'll send you more and more stuff to get you involved. But start looking at other countries where they're not allowed to talk, where they're not allowed to say anything, and you will start to grasp how special this opportunity is. That your grievances can be brought before the legislatures, before the assemblies, before the Congress, and have just as much right as anybody else to have your voice heard. It is without. I mean, I'm left speechless to think about how wonderful it is to live in America. So I'm equally disenchanted when I hear people getting up there to make votes that are uninformed. It is that much. As proud as I am, is how disappointed I am is when I hear a city councilman saying that I've read an article that said heavy metals are being emitted all over people when they exhale vape, or this is so toxic that I've heard people are dying just from standing next to vapors. This is ridiculous, right? That somebody would take such misinformation and just keep writing it all the way to the end. So you have to take both in balance. Just as much as you feel inside that you are pissed that this is being done to you, is just as much as you should hold in high regard the option and the ability to actually get it done and actually be there. So, sorry, the soapbox came out.
No, you go. That's exactly where I was driving. Right?
People really need to see that. So at least, hopefully, it empowers them to actually do something about it, right? Because I think that's a big issue. Is, I saw somebody commented earlier saying, most vapors won't do anything now unless they get free stuff, and it's like, people really need to at least, feel a little bit of oomph behind them to, to stand up and do something before.
I've had the chance to see people who are small business owners who've, taken their last bit of their life savings and created a vape shop, and get up there in front of city councils and state their case. I couldn't be prouder than to watch somebody take the essence of the American dream, where I'm going to take my hard-earned cash, I'm going to put it into this idea, and I'm going to make something out of it, and I'm going to do a legal business that helps my community at the same time, and then I'm going to stand up here and defend it. There is something wonderful about watching that. I always have this smile on my face when I watch our people get up there and say, you know what, I won't stand for this. This is what's right. This is what's wrong with this piece of legislation, and I hope you agree with us when you've heard our case.
Right.
So there is. I have people messaging him right now the Star Spangled Banner on the side of my screen. The sons of bitches. It's part of it, but don't miss the chance to participate in democracy. Right? And that's what it's all about.
Especially this is everything that's happening with vaping right now is history. Don't miss the chance to be part of history.
No, you don't want to be.
True.
I just saw the piece in the chat that says, Matt, I hope you were born here.
That was me. That was me asking in our chat.
I am a born American. I'm a native Arizonan, 7th generation American, so that's why you hear this coming out.
Right on. So you can run for president. All right.
I can absolutely run for president, but I don't know. I didn't go to Yale or Harvard. I went to Arizona State University. I'm a Sun Devils.
Right.
But you know what, though? I will tell you this right now as we're taking a break. I did come prepared to be on this show.
Oh, something's up.
Uh-oh, he's got his
that music
back out under the shirt. Calling it.
stop it, because otherwise they're gonna get us again.
Coming on Plumes, right? And so yeah.
Fuck all.
There we go.
Well done.
Now I feel like I'm on Plumes.
Now you fit it. It's black too. It's even better. Oh, yeah, that's good.
You know what?
Oh, that's all I have to say is, oh.
I can't even remember what we were talking about. That's fantastic.
You can breathe now.
We do have tech time though, right?
We do.
Give us a chance to queue up any questions.
I have one. Somebody hit me up with a question on our side chat here.
Yep.
And in all seriousness, sleeveless aside, is that sometimes we have to remember that we don't always search for and reach for the fight. So in advocacy, sometimes it becomes all about the win, the win, the win. But democracy often has to worry about compromise. So they'll find things that there's been bills that come up for, like age restrictions on vape. You'll find that we support them. We support a bill that says, you must be 18 or older to vape. We have to be willing to get in there and actually compromise.
Mm-hmm.
If people are all cranked up about a bill and they're like, we're going to force this through no matter what, and we have the votes. What you have to be willing to do is go in there and sit down with the people writing these bills and compromise. I know that word has been used over and over again, and people use it as an ugly term, but really we need to think about that sometimes that's the best bet to keep the industry going in a positive direction and to keep the maturity of the industry going in the right direction.
You say maturity, and I think that's an important word, because people that don't understand or that think the word compromise is a bad word are people that I wonder if they're actually adults, because that's how people deal with people, right? You kind of try to figure out how you can meet in the middle and make everybody happy as best as possible, right?
Yeah, they all feel like if they compromise, they lose automatically.
Right.
Compromise is not a loss.
No.
Compromise is what real business people do to maintain and grow their businesses within this legal atmosphere. So we have deeming regulations coming down, then we'll be moving on that, and there has to be a way to say, how are we going to work with this? How can I continue to be successful in the midst of all of this?
Right. And I think a lot of that gets to the point where, I'm a strong proponent of intelligent and reasonable regulation for vaping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think coming to an agreement to say, this is what's acceptable for you to take, this is what's acceptable for you to regulate, that's not going to kill small business. I think that compromise is where we need to go to continue to grow the industry and to mature the industry.
It's absolutely the place we need to go, because you got to show people that you have to believe in the overall goal. The overall goal is a vibrant industry that is prosperous for the people in it and is a strength to the people that vape.
And is safe for the consumers, and that protects those consumers.
If you love your local vape shop, encourage them to become advocates, because then your relationship becomes tighter, and you know that their ability to maintain their doors, keep them open, and to offer you the products that you love. And sometimes it's a place that you love to hang out. If it's a vape lounge that you know that you feel good about, you want to keep that relationship going, and the only way to keep that relationship going is to create pathways that allow the community in general, along with the vape community, to have good vape shops in their area. But one of those things that comes with compromise is vape shops that are actually working hard to become a part of that mature industry, that are keeping up business practices that show that they are in it for the long haul. I'm not going to name any names, and I've been across the United States, but sometimes you get a feeling, sometimes that a shop is kind of a fly-by-night feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where you get in there, they could just be doing a little more, a few changes in their shop that could really point them towards major success.
And that's why NAVB as a trade organization has rules for vape shops, like no mixing on the floor and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. To become a part of the National Association for Vaping Businesses, you have to have your child safe, tamper-resistant caps, child safe caps. No mixing in front of other people yet. No mixing where it's dangerous, right? Because we have, as an industry, we have to care about our consumers. And if we don't, we can create juices in areas that someone gets sick. And if someone gets sick, that's bad for everybody. That's not just bad for, San Diego, California. It's bad for the whole of the industry. Because even bad media, and I think we've talked about this on another show before, if it's a piece of media that gets out that has horrible misinformation, others will use that misinformation to make new legislation, right? We saw earlier in your show talking about the batteries in the fire. Now we're going to have to talk about how that's going to be, that we need to change the safety of that in the future. If there's a cloud competition and some guys are sub-ohming to the bottom of the bottom and they blow a battery and people, God forbid anything should happen, but that hurts everybody. So we need to be focused on maturing the industry as a whole. So whatever you do in your shop in, Pasadena, California, or you're up in Salt Lake City, Utah, or, Houston, Texas, your actions in your shop will pervade the entire industry. But I think that some people forget how interconnected we are, because things like we're on the internet, we're all in different time zones right now talking. I'm out here in Arizona, and we are so closely connected to each other that information flies faster than we can even expect.
A question in chat too from another one from Ruby Rouge. She wants your opinion on open mixing that happens at vape events like Vape Summit.
I just can't support it because I worry first about the consumer, right? I know people want to get those custom flavors and things like that, but if we can do it in a safe atmosphere, if you're going to do it at a conference, be safe. Maybe put it off in a separate area. Take your stuff away from the main area. Let them do what they have to do. Shake up your stuff, do your mixes, and then bring it back. Because you don't know who's sick in front of you. You don't know what is being spelled right there near where people are mixing. So I would really hate to see somebody get hurt. But it also has to point to the calibration of the machines you're using when it comes to nicotine. What if your machine isn't calibrated correctly and you're high dosing the nicotine and you've given a little too much to somebody who isn't used to it? There's a lot of different factors that cannot be controlled outside of a lab. I understand that people really, the custom juice industry is becoming huge, but we need to do it in a safe and effective manner. And I'm trying to figure out if that's a really good way to say yes, I'm for it, or no, I'm against it. I think that it serves a small purpose, but we need to be careful about how we do those practices.
Yeah. All right. So if we have any more chat or any more questions from chat, roll them in. I'll queue them up. We're going to cut to Mass to talk battery safety.
Well, yep. I have one quick point. Oh, okay. Mass, you can.
So I'm waiting on a few parts for the continuation and the finish of the Zero mod. But one of the things that I wanted to cover, which we have covered a little bit in the past, not to this extent, but when you have and this is important with everything that's been going on with the mods and just talk overall battery safety. We're not going to get technical. It's just going to be layman's, easy, a fast tech time tonight. So for people that maybe are watching and they're just getting into vaping, something to look out for, whether it's your mod or your friend's mods or anything like that. What I have here is a Samsung 25R. Okay. And as you can see, this battery is in really good shape. It's pretty much brand new. It's got a few cycles through it. And one of the things that I have started doing is I try to keep, you want to keep your batteries together if you're using them together in a mod, obviously. But keep track of the cycles, the charge and discharge cycles on them. These batteries do not last forever. And you can get some pretty good information from other users on kind of the lifetime of a battery. I don't want to say over time. You don't want to say, oh, use these batteries for a year and then, get rid of them, because there might still, the battery might still be okay depending on how many charge and discharge cycles you've gone through. I will try to find out more information for people who are interested, and I'll post it in Discourse about the lifetime of a battery like this. But what we wanted to talk about tonight is the condition of your battery. Obviously, you guys see this battery is in great condition, no issues, no tears, no moisture buildup inside of the battery. Here we have a Sony that has been used, okay, and you could see that the top cover, there's two pieces. There's the outside, it's kind of like a heat shrink plastic, membrane style, and on the inside you have this plastic disc, which is protecting the negative ring on the outside from the positive center, okay, and you can see that there's been some wear on that. Okay, so you see this battery out, it's got a couple of nicks down there on the bottom, but it's still okay. This battery is still good. You can still use this. Now, what you want to keep an eye on this battery for is if you got a friend that's got a box mod or a mod that has, a sled that looks like this. Okay, it's just a straight up Keystone sled. All right. What you want to keep an eye on with this battery, and we'll show on here because people get all crazy when I don't show that it does have voltage. This is an actual battery, okay, that's charged. What you want to keep an eye on is when you start getting these little snags, is that when you're basically, let me see if I can get a shot of this. When you're putting this mod in, okay, or this battery in, you're going to be pushing down, okay, and you see this lip right here on these sleds. A lot of people modify these and bend them in more, but this is just a precaution. Okay, when you're dealing with something like this, if you have a battery that has some of those, what can happen is, and I'm going to pull the battery out this way for that reason. What can happen is the edge of the sled can actually dig into here. Okay, and it can dig in this direction. Now, what happens?
Can verify that happened to my Duke.
Correct. And what happens is when that happens, you can actually be touching the positive and the negative at the same time with the sled leg. Okay, now this isn't your mod blowing up your battery. This isn't your battery being defective, any of that. This is just something that happens with certain sleds if you're not careful. Now, how can you prevent this? Okay, so this already has a snag. That's something you want to look at. All right, great. What if your buddy hands you his mod? Hey, here you go. You could use it overnight. You need it for tomorrow. You get home, you want to charge your batteries for them, and you go pull one of these batteries out, and it does that. Okay? Well, here's an easy way to prevent this. When you have your batteries in your sled, you can always pull your batteries out negative side first. Okay? If you tear or if you pull or do anything to this side, nothing's going to happen. You can get them rewrapped. You can toss the battery, get a new one. You're not going to have a short because this whole negative side is encased. So this can get stuck all at once. It's not going to be a problem. Now, I know people are going to be saying, oh, Mess, you got nails. Look, my nails are normal. Okay? I don't have big old long nails. You're using the tip of your thumb to push and pull the battery out. Okay? And you can do this in the mods. There's plenty of space to do that. Some actually have some ribbons. And what that helps to keep, because this can happen to anyone. Like Anksy said, it happened to him, to get caught on here. Okay. Now, all sleds are not the same. Here is an old school beater 3D printed box that I use for people who, their mod breaks down and they need me to fix it. I give them something so they can use. This has a different style positive and negative connection to where when you put the battery in, okay, you actually have the sharp part facing up, and that's just the way that this is set up. Okay, but even still on these, I still pull the battery out negative side first. Why? Because that's just something good to get used to doing, and it doesn't hurt it either way. It's easy to do. Just pull negative side up. Now, the part that I wanted to cover real quick about, you or your buddies' batteries. This one's starting to happen, so it's good to keep an eye out on. You can rewrap them, or $5-6 buys you a new one. This is an actual battery that is labeled bad. Okay, that I grabbed from a user and basically gave him one of mine. This is the ring on the top that is basically, and I'm going to show you, and I was pretty surprised. This battery ended up dying. It didn't vent, as far as I know, but we'll check this guy real quick just to be safe. And okay, no voltage on it whatsoever. He was using it as a mod, and I see him fiddling with the thing, and finally pops the battery out. The battery falls on the ground, and he's going to go put it back in. I was like, hey, let me see that battery. Well, you know, I find this ring halfway out, which is protecting your positive from your outer negative. Okay, these two do not touch. There's a seal. There's a seal there. That's usually the seal that'll burst open to let the release the gas out in case you short it. And that ring sits in between these two and helps it. So if you see something like this, you know, we had pictures of that guy that had the mech mod that blew up in the bathroom and shot across. He had tears in his batteries. This is something simple. Just grab it, get a new battery. Here's one on the negative side, so you could tell that whatever he was pulling it in and out of was causing issues. Now I have it labeled bad, and I've rubbed some of the stuff off, you know, messing with it now, but I took a permanent marker, not so much for permanent, and wrote X's on it. Okay, it's a bad battery.
I can't see. I can't see mistakenly putting that in a mod.
Yeah, and I have a box that you can find a local recycling center if you go through and find out who does your garbage, and take them to the recycling center. I think Radio Shack used to recycle them anymore. Radio Shack's not around, so. But yeah, if you guys see something like this, I mean, it'll typically be sitting in a mod like this. You know, you'll have something, you know, like that. You see tears or jagged edges, something like that, just warn people, because that, you know, you could be preventing someone from causing an arc, causing a battery to vent inside of a mod. And it's simple. You just look at it. When you see something like this, it's just time to get rid of that battery. So there you have it. Simple battery safety. Should not look like that. Friends, don't let friends put these batteries in their sleds.
That's a good end, right?
At least when you're around, right? They can do whatever they want with your nut.
You're a poet, and they didn't realize it.
Sure. I mean, 4th of July, you know, have at it.
That is.
All right.
I'm not even going to say that because that's irresponsible.
We did get a couple more questions, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So to go back to the juice topic and mixing, let's start there.
Yep.
From Wayne Walker. What are your thoughts, Matt, on DIY and its effects on the industry?
Well, there's going to be an issue with it because of what happened in New York. I'll bring everyone up to speed. It's it was the story about the baby who unfortunately passed.
Yep.
But it was what was it? 100. It was 100 mil Nick sitting on a table
with the cap off.
And I mean, I can't tell you how sad that makes me feel. I mean, the parents must feel just awful, right? But that action there is one of those actions that I talk about that's going to pervade through the industry. DIY should be your right, because it should be anybody's right to take legal substances and mix them as they please for their own consumption. But that's the libertarian side of me coming out and saying that freedom is good. The other side is that for brick and mortar shops and online, I'm always going to push and advocate for lab-made juice. I think that being in a controlled environment is good. I know that people start out, I mean, a lot of these guys who have these shops and have come up with amazing flavors have started doing it in, you know, in a garage or something like that, and then they expanded and became bigger. But the DIY market, I fear, most off, is probably going to engage a big problem with the FDA regulations that are coming down. I'm not sure of that. But it's hard because you can advocate for freedom on one hand and industry progress in the other, and they're going to start knocking against each other at some time. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, and the crappy thing about it is obviously. Got a hot mic.
Muted. You're good.
So the crappy thing about it is obviously the fact that the kid died. I mean, that's awful. But the thing about it is, it's not anything to do with vaping, really, right? If that dude had left the lid off of a bleach container and he left it out, right? The poor kid could have gotten into that too. There's a reason why this stuff should be locked up, and that's the parents' responsibility, right? But obviously, it's going to come down because it happened to be Nick this time, right? It's people are going to get their picket signs out and talk about it being vaping's fault, right? It sucks.
Go ahead and try to unmute yourself, Matt. You're still muted.
Damn buttons. The most important part of it is that NAVB itself doesn't represent the DIY community. We represent businesses, and because we're pushing for that piece to like really make this industry strong and grow for a long period of time, we advocate for our businesses to always be made in labs. So. I know that there's this other side of the industry, and people are always gonna. This is the roll your own of vape, right? But when it comes to getting this thing to go long term and getting society to believe in what we're doing, it's going to take those measures of having good controlled e-juices that are coming out from labs and such. Because people are always going to throw this thing out there. You don't know what's in it. You're always you're vaping now, but you don't know what's in it. Yeah, I do know what's in it because I know the guy who built it. He created it, and I know that it's VG, PG, food, kosher grade food additive, and nicotine. If we can't play it both ways. Either we're as the industry side of it, you've got to push for the lab-made juices because they come in controlled areas. So
sure.
That's what's going to happen.
We do have meat. Oh dear.
Yeah, your mic is hot, man. Bad.
So meat sauce in the chat is saying, dude, he abolished slavery again. This guy's a flip flopper.
No. Look, I put my jacket back on because I was cold, guys.
Okay.
That's the point.
Hold on. I'm gonna mute you for a second, Matt. Hit refresh real quick so we can ask the last question. I think you probably need to refresh. This seems like Google bugging out, not you.
Yeah.
Dude, Google's been on freaking Google all over the place today.
Jacked.
I still hear the echo. He's gone.
It's
Hodor.
I can hear the mute.
Hodor.
Been a little echoey all day.
The mute.
You've been lazy with the track tonight.
Got him.
There we go. All right, try. Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good. So, last big question. Do you feel like we are being outspent by big tobacco interests and others who oppose vaping? And how do we deal with that?
A good friend of mine once said the best way to combat those big guys is to get big. They have the money to lobby all day and all night for what they want. I think that has been seen in Indiana, that they could pour money in just as fast as anybody else. The only way for us to get past it is to get big, is to coalesce, is to put the focus and the goals of the industry ahead of ourselves, ahead of our own egos sometimes, and to focus on what we need to get done to be successful. That's the only way we're going to do it. They have money that they've been stocking up for ages, right? And this emerging industry is small right now, but in the last years, it's been able to take 15% of the tobacco industry right out of their hands. So I see that as a positive move and only getting better. So when you're thinking about what you want to do to help the trade associations and the groups out there get bigger, and you'll do your best part to be a part of it. So
that's a really good note to end on, I think, too. Are we good? Anything? Am I missing anything?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. As always,
Damn it,
Matt, I appreciate you coming on the show. Ahmed, I appreciate the mutes.
Thanks, Matt. That was really interesting, man.
Yeah.
What you were working on?